My name is Jay Bridgeball. I'm a real estate broker since 1988. I've seen the good days, the bad days, and the not so bad days. My passion is to educate consumer about all aspects in real estate. Actually, I sold over $1.75 billion in real estate. Now, that's a lot of experience. I went through many failures, many successes, and I've seen many stories that you will be amazed. Not everything looks so glamorous as it is sometimes. On Let's Talk Real Estate, we will dig deep down and I will take you step by step through every process, from buying your first home to buying a multi-million-dollar investment property. We will have various people on this show. Lawyers, investors, we'll have mortgage brokers, appraisals, and everyone else to assist us to take you to that point. My aim is to break it down in such easy terms that you will be able to follow. So please join me every Thursday between 1 and 2, and let's talk real estate. Hello and welcome to this next segment of Let's Talk Real Estate. It's very important for you to tune in. Today, I have someone who is very experienced in the real estate field. This gentleman, his role, he's an IT tech, work for a big firm, but choose to do real estate on a part-time basis and have done tremendously well. Actually, he have got two apartment buildings, and currently he's looking for a third one. He sold one of his apartment building as well. Have done very well. So Dinesh, welcome aboard.
Thank you, Jay.
Now, you were telling me at your humble beginnings when you started in real estate. I mean, at one time you didn't know anything much. So what happened?
That's right. Well, basically, we dove in, right? So, to start, my brother and I had an opportunity to invest. An opportunity came up where we could borrow some money and get into real estate, which was always something that I wanted to do. So we were able to do that, and we ventured in, and we purchased our first.
I can remember when you came to me for the first time, and we looked at it, and we said, okay, here, would this thing carry itself with zero money? Because here is dad lending some money to his two sons, and they're getting in. They didn't look at a condominium or a small detached home. You guys went straight to a sixplex. I remember Station Street.
Yes. You know what? Borrowing money from dad or family, it actually is kind of a good thing because it puts pressure on you. You don't want to let people down. You want to make sure you have a plan in place, and that was part of why we went to a building. With a building, you have multiple units. Your investment is spread across units. So, say a tenant leaves, your mortgage is still paid.
So, wow. So you had more than one tenants, which makes it easier.
Yes.
Many people think moving up to an apartment building, oh, I can't get there. What is really involved in terms of financing? Let's say you're buying a sixplex.
Right.
Give us a little idea as to what is involved. We'll get into this deeper as the show progress, but just as a beginning, what do you think?
Right. So getting into a building back then, 13 years ago, we didn't know much. But today, getting into a building requires a lot of calculations, a lot of planning. You really got to know kind of what I like to say is to kind of look at it the way a bank would look at it.
That's a good idea. But let's get back to the very beginning.
Yes.
Some of the challenges you had. You talk about that. We bought this building.
Right.
You did an inspection. What happened? Tell me all the stages. What happened?
Yeah. So okay. So I mean, negotiations was where it all started, and of course, negotiating back then and negotiating today is two different animals.
Right.
So we started with the negotiation. We finally landed the building. So then once we landed the building, we had to make sure we could secure financing from the bank. For
Right.
instance, we also had to get inspections done. We wanted to make sure that fire regulations were being met. um, you know there's lives in this, living in this building, and you
Right.
want to ensure that everything is up to par, that you don't have bugs in the building, and people can live in this building healthy. So there
So
was inspections and all of
all
that.
those things were
Yes.
done. So that's great. Now the other thing that happened here, I could recall that. Now, when you bought that property, there were certain amount of income. There were one or two. Most tenants were great, but we had one or two bad tenants as
Yes.
well
Yeah.
that kept things done in a separate way.
Yes.
Average cost of inspection to inspect one of these buildings.
You're looking at anywhere from 1,200 to 2,500. It
Okay.
depends on
Uh-huh.
how deep you go in with the inspection, because there's levels of inspection.
Right.
Right. So
Okay.
you can do just the inspection of the building, but then you may want to get your boiler inspected. Um, you may want to get the environmental done, and all of those sorts of things.
Right.
Excuse me. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's okay. While we're getting to that, the situation here is that there are a lot of things involved in buying that. For example, if you're buying a property for $800,000 or $900,000, you need 1/3 of the amount of money to put down, 33% roughly,
Yes.
right? Am I
Yes,
correct?
that is correct. It's 30% roughly. Yes.
30%
Yes.
roughly of the amount of money we need to put in the place.
Correct.
Now, so you buy a property, let's say $800,000, you put $300,000 down, $500,000 mortgage. The way you look at these properties is the number of doors you can collect rent from, right?
That's correct. Your cost per door, and then the amount of rent you're going to collect per door is how you want to look at it. So
Oh.
your expenses versus your income.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you prefer to invest? Some people are telling me, hey, you know what, Jay? I prefer to buy two houses at $500,000, and that is good enough. I'll rent it out to two family
Yes.
versus buying apartment building for, let's say, $1 million,
Right.
right? Because I am really scared with the amount of work involved in an apartment building. Could you tell me any of your horror stories that happen?
Well, so first of all, to speak
Yeah.
to that, I would recommend going with the building for the simple reason you have two houses. Each house has its own mortgage, right?
Right.
If those people leave, you have to be ready and prepared to carry that mortgage.
That's true.
So you have that aspect of it, but you also have to understand that maintenance. Each of these properties require maintenance. So you now have two roofs to maintain. You have two driveways to get shoveled, two lawns to mow, and that sort of thing. You buy a building. Your income is spread across units, so if somebody leaves, you can most likely carry the mortgage, but then you also have one roof to take care of. You have one parking lot or driveway to take care of. It might be on a slightly grander scale, but it's easier to do that than it is
So
to.
you're telling me indirectly that it's easier to buy an apartment and maintain it
Yes,
than to really buy a house as a rental property,
that's correct.
provided the money is about the same.
That's correct. But that's not even getting into the investment aspect of it, and
Okay.
why an apartment is better to invest in. When
Okay.
when we talk numbers and dollars, I can explain to you why.
We can
that
get
is.
into that a
Yes.
little bit as we
Sure.
move along. Now, there was something in you that caused you to move from where you are to where you are at.
Yeah.
I mean, you are a technical guy.
Yes.
That's what you do for your living. Work
Yes.
at a big company.
Yes.
And on an average week, let's say you spend 40 hours at work, you may spend 5 hours or less than 5 hours or 5 hours per week. And your real estate, is that correct?
That I would say even less than that, Jay.
Even less than 5
I
hours per
visit the
week.
apartments maybe every 2 weeks,
Uh-huh.
and we're there. We do a little bit of cleaning, and then we're gone. Maybe 2 hours every 2 weeks.
2 hours
Yes.
per week,
Yes.
right? Initially, okay, you started with $0. Just to give our viewers an idea of how you develop. Then eventually you sold that property, you bought another property, and then you bought another property. Just in equity alone, in net worth, your net worth is over $1 million. No, I'm not talking about your personal, just your investment that
Yes.
started 30 years ago is probably about 1.5, 1.6 mil and growing,
Yes.
right?
That is correct. Yeah.
What take you there? Is that burning desire? Is that what was the drive that
Right.
drive you there?
Well, I've always had a passion for investing in real estate and business in general.
Uh-huh.
So, when we took on the first one,
Yes.
I started to realize, hey, this is not so bad. You hear horror stories, you hear, oh, you have to watch, if you have bad tenants, or if, you may run into this or that. Yes, that is true. But tell me a business that is actually easy. There's work in everything that you have to do, and if you when you get the ball rolling in this type of business, one of the things that you learn is the most important thing to do is to screen your tenants. If you are able to screen your tenants, and that's like 60% of your headache.
Your headache is gone.
Correct.
Now, that's the best way. We'll get into tenants and how to screen that as we go along, right? Very important is, so you have a burning desire. Did you had a goal in mind? Did you had a game plan that you really set up here? You know what? I want to buy this here, and then I'll move forward
Yes.
and take it from there.
Absolutely. You always need a plan. You always need a goal to look forward to. So, when we sold, my brother and I sold the first building, and I started purchasing some buildings on my own. I set a goal for myself to have 50 doors in 5 years. Now, that's an aggressive goal.
Yes.
Very aggressive.
But
But
You're
I think
working
it's
on it.
doable. Yes.
You know what? As I said, if you need to get anywhere, we need to move from here to New York. We need a GPS to take us there. You just don't start driving. So very important, folks, is to have a goal. Set a goal that is realistic, that is smart. Also a goal that you can achieve. The next important thing, take that desire and bring it internally, internalize it. When you do that, what you find happen, your mind start to work towards achieving that goal. For me, what I do, even up to today, I always visualize my goal first thing in the morning and late in the evening. And by doing that, we find that we can take off. What we'll be doing, we will be taking a break shortly, and then after the break, we'll proceed into some meat and potato, what is really involved in investing in real estate. Doesn't take much, and I mean, if you can do it, many people
Anybody
can do it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because you don't spend much time with it.
That's right.
Thank you. See you soon.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
Think you have what it takes to bring value to the community? The TCN TV network is expanding and now accepting TV show proposals. Here's an opportunity to build celebrity status and become part of an elite group of community advocates that are focused on building, strengthening, and empowering our community in a positive way. Are you interested in embarking on a new adventure? TCN TV is searching for people interested in opportunities to change the conversation and pave an unforgettable legacy. If you feel you have something of value to offer, send a written show proposal to shows@mytcntv.com.
Thank you. Welcome back. So here, Dinesh, and now let's discuss what is involved in buying an apartment building,
Right.
and how do you get financing? What is involved? How do you analyze an apartment building? I know a simple home. You go, you buy the home. You go to the bank. The bank take care of everything, and you know how you're buying. By the way, while Dinesh is coming on, I just want to let you know that our phone lines are open. If you have any question, please feel free to call us 647-931-4701. That's 647-931-4701. So Dinesh,
Yep.
how do you really analyze an apartment building?
Okay, so the first thing, Jay, is I have a rule, and the rule is nothing under 5 units.
Nothing
And
under 5 units.
nothing under 5 units, and the reason why is because of the way the bank looks at that property. So, if anything under 5 units, the bank will look at it as a normal residential
Okay.
conventional mortgage.
Okay.
Anything above 5 units, the bank will look at it as a commercial.
Okay.
Okay. Now, the reason why that's important is because you want to analyze the building. Basically, you want to look at it the way the bank will, and the bank will look at a building of 5 units and more with what's called an income approach.
Okay.
So the bank is just basically looking at cash coming in and your expenses. And that's how you want to analyze the building. Now, there's some tools to do that.
That's
right?
very good. And hold that point shortly. What Dinesh just said, let the bank be your police.
Yes.
Many times we go there and we buy property and we just rush into it and try to say, hey, we'll put more money down. We want it so badly. But no, that's a wrong move. Let the bank do the analysis. Let them be your police.
That's
Yes.
right. Yes, I agree 100%. If the bank who employs all these people to look at this investment and they are telling you something, then chances are you should listen to them.
That's a
Yes.
great point. So, what are some of the tools you use to know how much a property is worth?
So basically, the first tool that I use is a calculation called capitalization rate.
Okay.
And what that is basically your cap rate is going to tell you how that investment looks at a point in time.
Okay.
Okay, and that simple calculation tells you a lot of things. Okay,
Okay.
it will tell you what your NOI is. Your NOI is your net operating income, which is basically your rent, your income coming in minus your expenses. Expenses are taxes, your electric, your water, all of those things.
So let's say we got a fiveplex. We're collecting for a wrong figure. We're collecting, let's say, $1,000 per month. That's really $5,000 per month, $60,000 a year income.
Yes.
Our expenses, including water, everything else, let's say 20,000.
Yes.
Your net income, therefore, is 40,000, right?
Yes, yes.
Now, 40,000. Where do you go from there?
So now that you have that, which is called your NOI,
Uh-huh.
then you divide that by the sale price of the building, and that will give you your cap rate.
Okay, so let's say you divide that by your sale price of the building. The sale price, let's say 40,000, divide by $500,000,
Right.
right?
And then you get your
And then you get your
capitalization rate.
capitalization rate
Now what you need to do is understand what the going cap rate is in that area.
In the area.
Yes.
And how can you find out what the going cap rate is in an area?
You have to find a really good agent, and I happen to know one. That's how you're gonna do it, because
Yes.
they're gonna know the market, they're gonna know the
Yes.
areas. Yeah.
So the way we do these properties is that what we do, we look at all the similar properties that's sold within that area and within a decent time frame. We calculate the cap rate on every one of them, and then we look at what is more common. If typically what the 5%,
Yes.
5.5%.
So what will happen is you'll be able to figure out the cap rate in that area. But what you have to understand is that banks don't care about the cap rate in that area. They want to see anywhere from a 5, 6, or even a 7% cap. Right?
Yeah, that's a very, very good point.
Yeah.
Now, also, would you say a cap rate is something like your rate of return?
That's absolutely what it is. The way you want to look at capitalization rate is, if you were to buy this investment cash, what would be your return on that investment?
And-
What's the percentage?
And that's after paying your mortgage as well?
That's correct.
So you want to make sure that you're getting about 5 to 6% after paying all your debts, including your mortgage.
That's right. So that's something called cash on cash return. So
Okay.
cash on cash return is calculated by taking your NOI, minusing your mortgage, both principal and interest payment, divide that by the amount of money you put into that investment, and that will give you your cash on cash.
And what's usually the return on that, and the cash on cash?
I mean, it would vary, right? It all depends on what you want to put in,
Right.
and it will also depend on all the the expenses and so forth. But what you want to do is, if you step back and you take that capitalization rate,
Right.
that's really what you wanna focus on. The reason why is because the banks, when they are gonna lend you money, they're gonna look at that cap rate, and what they're gonna do is they're gonna say, based on this capitalization rate, we believe, sorry Jay, let me just reverse a little bit. Using the cap rate, you can also calculate what the building should be in
The
terms
value
of
of the
the
building.
value of the building.
That's beautiful.
That's
So
correct.
you know how to offer. You're not buying it on an emotional decision. You are buying it based on the income it's being produced.
That is correct, which is how the bank will look at it.
Right.
So based on that, knowing that the bank wants to see a 5%, 6%, 7% cap, you now know what to offer. And that's important, because the bank is going to send out an appraiser, and the appraiser is not going to say, "Oh, the driveway's done, it looks nice." The appraiser is going to weigh heavily on the income and expenses.
Definitely,
Right.
definitely.
Then what the bank will do is give you what's called an LTV based on that appraisal. So if the appraisal comes back, before we were talking about a $500,000 property, if the appraisal comes back and they say, "Oh, this property is worth only $300,000," then the bank will only give you 70% of $300,000.
Right. The LTV really mean the loan to value, how much loan you're really taking from the actual worth of the property. That's important to note as well. Now,
Right.
look at it this way. If you are borrowing, therefore, if you are borrowing money at 3%, 3.5%,
Yes.
and you are getting almost 5-6%, let's say, on your other side, it means you are making about 2-3%, right?
That is correct.
So look, if you got that money sitting in the bank, in a, let's say in a GIC, what would you be making? About less than 0.5%?
Maybe half a percent, yes. Yeah.
So you're making 0.5%, but here you are borrowing the money from the bank. You own the property, and your return is between 3 to 4%. And we are not talking about a reduction of your mortgage.
That is correct, and we're also not talking about the equity that's being built.
The
The
yes.
equity just from the market alone.
Yeah, the price
Right.
goes up over
Yes.
time too.
Yep.
Now, another question. What is a rent roll, and how does that assist us in the process?
Well, the rent roll is basically it's basically what each unit is paying,
Uh-huh.
and then all the considerations in that. If the rent roll has, say, utilities in the rent, then that's going to affect the output, right? So your rent roll for each unit is basically your income coming in, and that's
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's a great point. What Denise is saying here is that it's best in a way to let the tenant pay some of the utilities, individual hydrometer, for example, for each tenant,
That is-
and gas meter.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
And what that will be, it means that the money you're collecting will be more your gravy versus you collecting certain amount and have to pay expense out of it. Now, the rent roll coming back, does it tell us the history really of the tenant, when they had the lease, how long they had the lease, how long they be there as well? So we can get an idea of the stability?
The rent roll. So when you are looking at purchasing a building, you're gonna ask for rent roll or the financial statement, and what that's gonna do is have the rent roll, which is the rents, and then you'll be able to see the expenses and so forth. And another thing that you always want to do is ask for the current lease agreements, and that's gonna tell you.
That will tell us
Yes.
more about that property.
Yes.
Now, let's talk briefly, just introducing the topic. We'll continue it in our next segment. Should I buy the property in my name, or should I buy it in a cooperation? What are your thoughts? I heard different opinions.
Yes. I think that it depends on what your goal is and your business plan. But for somebody like myself who wants to grow, and I'm talking about multi-unit buildings here, it's definitely advantageous to look at incorporating.
Okay, I have accountants that are telling me that, you know what, it's probably best to keep it in your name. That way, your income is high, and you will generate some write-offs as well.
And that's correct. And that's what I meant by, it depends on the individual, right? Like
Right.
if you're investing in if you're investing in real estate to bring your income down, then maybe you don't want to incorporate, because incorporating is essentially a virtual person,
Right.
right? So if you want to reap the losses, then yes. But then you have other things to look at as well when you incorporate liabilities and all these other things that the incorporation will help you out with.
Beautiful. So we'll get back to that shortly, just after the break. We will continue this discussion on whether to incorporate your business or not to incorporate. What are some of the advantages and the benefits to do these things? As we move along, we will enter other aspect, tenant culture, etc. We'll get into where to buy, what to buy, and how to buy. Take care. See you soon. Thank you.
Discover the incredible India.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
Welcome back to this segment of Let's Talk Real Estate. And here we have Dinesh Bechan, self-made millionaire in the industry. And Dinesh started a burning desire to succeed, and he worked his way through there. As he told us, he spends an average about 2 hours per week tops in real estate.
Yes.
However, he got a plan, and he's working along the plan. Today, we are discussing everything involved in the, buying investment property, especially when it comes to apartment buildings. At this point, we were chatting, Dinesh, about incorporation.
Yes.
As I said, in my situation, my accountant said, Jay, buy most of the properties in your name. That way there is a wash. You make some loss, you make some gain in your business,
Yes.
and you can, it's better for you. In your case, you say, hey, you know what? I prefer to incorporate.
Yes.
Now, do you incorporate, have one corporation where you put all your properties in, or each property has its own corporation?
Each property should have its own corporation, and the reason why you want to do that is you want to contain your liabilities. So, by incorporating, you're removing personal liability. By incorporating every property, you're containing liability. So what that means is that if, let's hope it never happens, if you end up getting sued and you have all your eggs in one basket, so you have all your properties in one corporation, they're all up for grab.
Whoa, so that's the advantage right there. By
Yes.
incorporating, you're actually, it's an entity spinning by itself,
Yes.
and you contain your liability within there.
That's correct.
I know I do it for all the commercial projects that we do.
Yes.
Each commercial projects have one property,
Yes.
and that way it's being contained to one, and you're not getting your eggs in that way. That's very,
That's
very
correct.
important, folks. Make sure you incorporate. What is involved in incorporating a business stuff?
What's involved is talking to a good accountant. You should
Okay.
have a good accountant. And basically what they will do is they will structure based on your needs. For example, you don't incorporate everything because of your needs. So every individual is different, and an accountant will take all of that in consideration and give you the best strategy to move forward. So,
So it's just get a good accountant on your side and take it from there. I've seen many people doing small investments, a fourplex, twoplex, and they got many properties. I find also that what is important to make sure you have a separate account for
Yes.
all your income and expense for each property.
yes.
Right.
Yes, you want to separate everything out per property. So if you were to incorporate all your properties, you have to do that anyways. You're going to open up a bank account for every property. But for you to understand how much money is coming in and going out per property, the best way to do it is to separate it out. And so myself, for instance, I have separate accounts for the buildings. And if each building has its own account, as well as my personal, that's totally off and out of the picture when we're talking about these buildings.
Sometimes partnership
Yes.
can actually make or break business.
Yes.
For example, I know of people where there are two partners and one think one way, the next thinks the other way,
Yes.
right? And it can affect the growth of a business as well.
It can.
Now, do you recommend partnership, or how did you? Well, what are your views about partnership?
I've been lucky, Jay, in that every partnership I've had was a good partnership so far. So the first partnership within real estate was with my brother, and that was a good partnership. We learned a lot together, I was a bit more aggressive, so I wanted to kind of do my own thing and proceed and be aggressive. I mean, like I said, 50 doors in 5 years is quite aggressive.
Well, I know you're very aggressive. Now,
Yes.
I've seen situation in these buildings where sometimes we tend to reward our good tenants by saying, you know what, we would not raise your, every year we got that rent increase. We'll not give you a rent increase. Leave them there for 3 to 4 years. That is an advantage. Now we are getting to tenant culture. What are your thoughts about that?
Okay, so just actually before I hit on that, I wanted to mention to you my second partnership, which is my wife. And that, if you have a supporting spouse,
Okay.
it just makes you go. But in
Okay.
regards to tenants, um, a lot of people, they say they want to keep their tenants long term, and that's okay. But in these buildings, when you're talking about, remember, we want to look at this like banks. So it's commercial. It's all about income and expenses. If you don't raise rents and so forth, what you're doing is devaluing your property. So the next person, if you were to sell your property now, and the next person comes along, how are they going to calculate this? They're going to look at your income minus your expenses, and expenses are always going up. And if your income is not following, you're going to be in
You
trouble.
touch on a very important point in business. I'll give you this example. On my street, there is a gas station, and the gas price is always lower than the competition. Cars lining up every day there.
Yes.
You know what, though? This guy is a smart businessman. It's not the fast penny. He have done so many volumes, so many millions of liter of gas.
Yes.
And when he ready to sell that, the first thing the bank want to look at is the volume of gas you pump.
Right.
So what happened? His property, his business went up, let's say, from 13 million to 25 million dollars because
Yes.
of the volume.
Right.
Similarly, what we are saying here is that anytime you have a rent increase, take it, because by increasing your rent a little bit, it increased the value of your property. Many people did not realize that when it come to these kind of businesses.
That's right.
Right?
Yes.
So we want to make sure that's happening. I know I'm the guy that, okay, I got a couple of residential, and I love my long-term tenants.
Yes.
Some they're 5-year, 10-year, and I didn't increase much. My situation is different because those are I use them for different reasons.
Yes.
However, you recommend that it's good that the tenants move in about 2 years. Every 2 years, you like, if you can get new tenant, you love that.
Yeah, I know. Well, a
Why?
lot of people are scared, when they get a letter from their tenant that says they're about to move. I actually am happy.
Yes.
Now, it's not that I don't create rapport with my tenants and I don't treat them nice, and it's not always about the money. But when a tenant decides they want to move on, it's actually an opportunity. Now, when you're increasing rents, you can only increase rents, and again, we're talking commercial. You can only increase rents based on what the government tells you can increase the rents by.
Right.
So if you're increasing every year by 1.8%, then that's okay, going forward. But when a tenant leaves, you're now able to increase that to whatever the market will allow you to increase it to.
Wow. So if the tenant move, let's say the tenant is paying $1,000 and you got that one apartment that is vacant. Now what you do, you go renovate it really nicely, you put it out, advertise it, get a good tenant in there, and that tenant may pay you, let's say, $1,400. So you are better off.
That is correct. But there's one thing I want to point out, Jay, is that when you have these buildings, it's not only about collecting money. You want to reinvest into your buildings. You want them to
Okay.
look good. If your building looks good, and when a tenant leaves and a new tenant's coming in, it will be a lot easier to get market value for something that looks good, is upkept, and so forth. One of the important things that I always say about this business is to treat it as a business. It is legitimately a business. It's not just a property that you're gonna just take money on.
You touch one very good nerve when talk about taking care of your property. It's important because it's long term.
Yes.
There are many buildings you go, they all got run down. But what people don't realize is that suddenly the tenant culture changes. If you have a perfect, nice, high-end property, you attract a different quality of tenant. When the property start to shift downwards, and the property got run down, the problem you will have, you'd start to get compromising tenants, and then it become difficult to change that culture.
That is correct, but also the attitude of the tenants tend to change. If you're not taking care of your property, why should they? And this is your investment. So you want to take care of it.
Start to see garbage in the lobby, and then more garbage accumulate.
That's right.
And all the problems started from there, and then you
Yes.
attract the wrong kind of tenants.
That's right.
Right? Now, how do you manage to run these properties and you're here? Do you have a property manager, or let's say talk about your apartment building, for example?
Yeah.
Property manager, do you have a superintendent? What's going on? How do you handle that?
So there's multiple ways to handle that. I mean, you could get a property management company. You could decrease one of the tenants' rent and make them a super, give them responsibility. It's actually good when you do that because they feel that this is their place now.
Wow.
And they actually look out for it, and they come to you and tell you what's happening and so forth. The other way is to just simply manage it on your own. Create a team. This is the way I like to do it. You have your electrician in that local area where your properties are. You might have a plumber. You might have a handyman in that area. In fact, Jay, my properties aren't anywhere close to where I live. They are actually at least 40 to an hour away from where I live. So it's important to have that team ready and available so that you could just call them up when you need.
That's great. So you prefer to manage it yourself, and you have a local team that does all the work there. The other important thing that Dinesh mentioned is that what you do, you seek out one of your best tenant and ask them, hey, I will give you a reduced rent, let's say $200 less per month. Could you make sure the garbage is being put out every week? And could you make sure the lobby is all clean? And if any tenant have problem, they can contact you. And these people feel that because they got a lower rent, they feel a sense of responsibility.
Yes.
They take care of that. Now that eliminates the cost of getting a property management company that you have to pay money to, so improving your bottom line.
Right, that's absolutely correct. The property management company is a middleman, right?
Right.
They're gonna do exactly what you would do if they weren't there, and if you're maintaining your properties and you're reinvesting into your properties, you're not gonna have to spend much time on repairs and all of these things anyways. So.
And there are lots of expense involved. Give you an example. I got at one of our plaza, we got a light bulb blow.
Yes.
The manager will then send his brother out to go to check the light bulb, then take the light bulb out, then go to Home Depot, then buy one and come
Right.
back. And this guy will write a long list of time and effort that he does.
Right.
So to change a light bulb usually costs us about $250.
That's
so
right.
that's
Yeah.
that's how when you're using management, you got to be
That's right.
careful.
Absolutely.
Okay, stay tuned, and when we get back, we will continue along this very interesting topic: how to buy your apartment building.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
Think you have what it takes to bring value to the community? The TCN TV network is expanding and now accepting TV show proposals. Here's an opportunity to build celebrity status and become part of an elite group of community advocates that are focused on building, strengthening, and empowering our community in a positive way. Are you interested in embarking on a new adventure? TCN TV is searching for people interested in opportunities to change the conversation and pave an unforgettable legacy. If you feel you have something of value to offer, send a written show proposal to shows@mytcntv.com.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Real Estate, and today we have Dinesh with us here and doing a wonderful job. Dinesh, thank you for taking the time to come out and share all this knowledge with us. I mean, you didn't have to do it, but your passion is teaching people how to invest. It did not diminish you by giving all this information.
No, no, not at all.
All right. Now, one of the biggest fear people have is that the fear of getting tenants from hell.
Yes.
How do you recruit good tenants?
So the process is quite lengthy. So basically, what you want to do is, when you put an ad out and they call you, there's got to be some questions that you're gonna ask, right?
Right.
So why are you looking? Where are you currently living? You know, there's gonna be a whole slew of questions. I actually have a list of questions that I ask. I don't know them off the top of my head, but I do have a list. So when I'm talking to a tenant, I have a list of questions,
Okay.
which I advise everybody to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, that's important. I know in today's world, social media plays a great role in finding out who your tenants are, too, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes, I find that that's the first thing I do. I see, well, let me go and see this person lifestyle, and
Yes.
I say, what, well, they're all the time things are happening different, and they perceive themselves to be someone else when they come to your place. You
Right.
already know.
That's right. That's
Right.
correct. So that's the first weeding out process.
Uh-huh.
The next thing you want to do is meet them. Now this is very important because body language, just talking to somebody and seeing them face to face tells you a lot.
Right,
So
your first impression right there, right?
absolutely,
Your intuition. That's
correct.
very key.
Your gut is
yes.
very important.
Yeah.
After you get them out and you show them the place, you want them to fill out an application. So an application is very important, and there's lots of places you can get ready-made applications. So a good application is very important. So you have them fill out an application that will have all their information, or as much information as you can gather on this person.
Okay. Now you have that application all completed.
Yeah.
What's the next step? What would you do?
The next step is that so you look over the application. You're gonna wanna look for key things. How long have they been at one residence, and then move to the next residence, and then the next residence, and so forth. And so you want to study that application. Then what you want to do is you want to start making reference calls.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So
the way that I like to do this, Jay, is that I don't say they have their place of employment and they put down a number. I don't actually call that number. I look up their place of employment on the internet. I find the number there, then I call that number.
What's the reason?
Because there's something out there. You said tenants from hell or bad tenants.
Right.
There's something out there called a professional tenant, and this is what they do. They have a friend, waiting on the other side that says that they're working for this company or that they are this company, and then they give a glowing reference. How would you know any better?
That's true. Also, when you're screening tenants, I always want to make sure that my tenant is employed. I'll tell you the reason behind it. Home, the apartment building, where they're living is really like human beings in a way, in that you need enough time to rest.
Yes.
And when you have tenants who are home 24 hours per day, they tend to run your home down because they're there all the time. Your property can't rest.
That's right.
An average working family, 8 hours work,
Yeah.
2 hours traveling time,
Yeah.
right? They might spend some time grocery, come home tired, have dinner, go to bed.
Right.
So your home is resting most of the time.
That's correct. Yes.
So I prefer not to rent to people who are at home all the time, if I
Right.
could avoid it.
Yes.
Same time, you don't want to discriminate,
No.
but these are some of my criteria that I
Yes.
use to get good tenants.
Right, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that we do, excuse me, that we do when we're vetting or screening tenants is social media. Social media today will tell you everything about a person. And, social media is very important to look into when screening a tenant. And then also you want to collect or validate all the data that they give you. So one way by doing this is if they say they're employed, then I always ask for the 2 last pay stubs that they may have.
Okay.
All right. And when I call their employer, I may not ask what an employer is expecting me to ask. I may ask, you know, is this person, do they always show up on time, or are they friendly, or, you know, just to kind of really find out about the person,
Right.
right? That's going to be living in my building, right? So it's important to come up with questions, and you know, when you're screening a tenant, to ask employers, to ask friends, to ask whatever reference
You
they
want
give
to
you.
do all your due diligence. How about
Yes.
a credit report?
Absolutely, 100%. So that's another thing that I always do on everybody. A credit report
Okay.
has to be done, and that tells you quite a bit. Now, a credit report is important, but it's not the most important.
Okay. What do you mean?
Well, see, people are humans, and everybody runs into trouble here and there. And so, by taking the credit report, the reference checks, social media, and all of these things, that gives you the picture about this person. I've rented to people with very bad credit, and you know, they pay me on time every month.
You know, to be honest with you, most of my tenants, I look out for those folks that have a bad credit report. If they have a bad credit report and great job of great potential of paying their rent,
Yep.
they become better long-term tenants for me.
You're right.
Right?
Right.
I don't really have to worry too much because no other the people don't want to give them a chance.
Yes.
And here I am giving them a chance. They take care of the property and they are there. They make better tenants.
That is absolutely true, and especially if you have somebody who's employed 10 years, but you know,
Yeah.
they may have at the same company, but they may have ran into some trouble.
They got a little blemish on their
Right.
credit, but they've been stable. Job is the key.
Yes, and as I said to you before, the other thing that I rely heavily on is my gut.
Yes.
Your gut tells you a lot about people.
I fully agree with that. I reviewed one application that came through the email, and I loved this family. I wanted them to get it. When the person came in the office, the way they were dressed, and you know, I know that they will not be good tenants, and
Right.
they were on drugs and everything. You can sense it.
Yes.
That's why face to face is so important.
Very important, yeah.
Right.
And another thing, when you meet face to face, you run into some tenants that love to talk. They'll talk and talk and talk, and it's very important to just listen and
Yes.
let them talk, and you just listen, and that tells you a
Well,
lot.
as they said,
Yes,
God
yeah.
give us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, right?
That's
You
right.
must talk half as much, listen twice as much.
That's
You
right.
can't learn anything by talking. You can
Yeah.
learn by listening as well, right?
That's right. Yes.
Yes. So before we are coming down to the downtime of the session, we're
Yes.
almost there. Now, a quick thing. Where are you going from here?
Wow. Well, like I said, I have a goal. Trying to meet my 50 doors in 5 years.
Okay.
I'm just gonna continue to invest. Like I said, it's my wife and I that do it together, and
Right.
she has the passion to do this just as much as I do, and we're just steaming forward.
Well,
Yeah.
it's good when you have two persons that are working along the same
Yes.
direction.
Yes.
And I know you'll get it. We'll have you more time on this show because you have a wealth of knowledge. You are willing to share it.
Yes.
And what I want to let our audience know that it does not take much. Just regular people that are not in the limelight that are doing so great in real estate.
Yes.
If you have to invest, let's say, in stocks
Yes.
or mutual funds and real estate, I
Yes.
guess you will choose real estate.
I would absolutely choose real estate. I mean, real estate is a very good avenue to build wealth. I don't know a wealthy person that doesn't have real estate in their portfolio.
Yes, as you said, the best investment on earth is earth itself,
Absolutely.
right? Earth
Yes.
itself,
Yes.
right? Now, although these are small, let's say, apartment buildings,
Yes.
right? Would you advise someone to invest in more than one apartment building, or just get one building, or get two small ones? What's your advice?
So
on that?
there's many advantages to both or all scenarios. It all depends on you as an investor. So typically on paper, your ROI is better the more units you have in one building. So
ROI is return on investment. Okay.
Yes. So basically, if you buy a fiveplex or a sixplex, you may be paying 150,000 per door, but when you go to a 12plex, you may be paying 120 per
Right.
door.
So
Yes.
the whole idea is that if you buy big, it's cheaper per door. But
Yes.
if you buy small, it's easy. If you need to get rid of part of your portfolio, you just sell one sixplex.
That is correct.
versus selling the whole big portfolio.
Absolutely, yes.
So, folks, I just want to say thank you so much for joining in today. And if you have any questions, please remember to call us or send me an email at thebridge, THEBRIJ, at thebridge.com. Also, if you want to be in part of this show, if you like to contribute for this show, please send me an email and we'll take it from there. It must be real estate related. So come on board and let's talk real estate. Thank you.